general and not even a nobleman, but a single word from him could influence the future of Russia. When he entered the palace, people fell silent. Some women believed he had been sent by God. His enemies feared him. His name was Grigory Rasputin. To some, he was a healer, a holy man, a strange messenger sent to save the royal family. But to others, he was something much darker, a dangerous force, standing too close to the Romanovs and leading them toward destruction. But the most terrifying part is this: in Rasputin's story, truth and legend became almost impossible to separate. By 1905, Russia was already shaking. There was political unrest, poverty in the streets, anger among the people, and growing hatred toward the royal family. The Russian Empire looked powerful from the outside, but inside it was beginning to crack. And then, into this world of fear, faith, and power, came Rasputin. After gaining the trust of Tsarina Alexandra, he rose quickly, very quickly. Soon he became one of the most powerful and most hated figures in Russia. Rasputin's connection to the royal family began with one desperate hope. The Tsarina's son, Alexei, was not just any child. He was the heir to the Russian throne, but he suffered from hemophilia, a dangerous condition that made bleeding difficult to stop. For the royal family, this was a nightmare. One small injury could become life-threatening. Doctors tried to help, but fear remained inside the palace. Then Rasputin appeared. He claimed he could help the boy, and somehow Alexei seemed to improve. To Tsarina Alexandra, it looked like a miracle. To others, it was suspicious. Some believed Rasputin had real spiritual power or simply calmed the boy and calmed the mother. Some historians suggest that Rasputin may have helped by stopping the doctors from giving Alexei aspirin, which could have made the bleeding worse. Whatever the truth was, one thing is clear. After that moment, everything changed. Tsarina Alexandra became deeply devoted to him. She trusted him completely, and through her trust, Rasputin gained enormous influence over the royal family. At first, his influence seemed personal, private, hidden behind palace walls, but soon it became something much bigger. Rasputin was no longer just involved in the fears of a mother or the illness of a child. He began interfering in matters of the state, and that made Russia watch him with growing hatred. To the royal family, Rasputin was a trusted friend, maybe even a holy protector, but to many others, he was a disgrace. He rejected the manners of the aristocracy. He did not act like the polished nobles of the court. He did not speak like them. He did not dress like them, and he did not seem to care what they thought of him. The closer Rasputin came to the royal family, the darker the rumors around him became. People whispered about his behavior, his habits, his followers, and the strange. He seemed to have a strange influence over those around him. Rasputin carefully preserved the image of a rough, unpolished peasant. According to many accounts, he refused to live like a gentleman. He reportedly avoided bathing. He often left a poor impression at dinner tables. He unsettled people with his manners. He licked spoons. He ate carelessly. And sometimes bits of food were said to remain caught in his long beard. To some, this made him seem humble, simple, almost holy, as if he had turned away from the polished beauty of the aristocratic world. But to others, it made him seem unsettling, deeply improper, and completely out of place inside the royal court. A man like this, they believed, should never have stood so close to the throne. And yet, he did. Despite his appearance, Rasputin had a powerful charisma, a strange pull. People were drawn to him, especially noble women. Many gathered around him, believing he carried spiritual power. Some thought his prayers could heal. Some believed his words could cleanse the soul. Others believed that being near him brought them closer to God. The time he spent with these women was sometimes described as spiritual cleansing or a day of salvation, but inside court circles, many saw it very differently. They did not see holiness. They saw moral decay. They saw manipulation. They saw a man using faith to gain influence. And with every rumor, his shadow seemed to grow darker. Some stories about Rasputin sounded almost impossible to believe, but they spread across Russia and made his name even more unsettling. According to rumors, he gave some followers strange and degrading tasks to test their loyalty. Some were allegedly told to lick jam from his fingers. Others were said to have been asked to help bathe him. Whether every story was true or not almost no longer mattered. The rumors had already become part of his legend, and with each new whisper, Rasputin seemed less like a man and more like a dark presence moving through the palace halls. Then came World War I. Russia was suffering. The war was taking a heavy toll. Food was running short, and unrest was spreading through the empire. Tsar Nicholas II left for the front to lead the army himself, but while the Tsar was away, Rasputin's influence reached its highest point. Through his influence over the Tsarina, he was believed to affect appointments, protect certain people, remove ministers, and interfere in important decisions of the state. Some accused him of helping people avoid military service in exchange for favors. Others believed he was weakening the empire from within the palace. To the Russian people, this was unforgivable. To the aristocracy, it was humiliating. A peasant mystic standing behind the throne, whispering into the ear of the Tsarina. For many Russians, Rasputin became a symbol of everything wrong with the royal family: corruption, weakness, spiritual confusion, and deep isolation from the people. Little by little, hatred toward the monarchy grew stronger, and Rasputin's name became tied to the collapse of an empire. He did not create the revolution alone, but his presence helped make the Romanovs look doomed, and Russia was moving closer to disaster. Rasputin's assassination in December 1916 became one of the strangest stories in Russian history. Even today, it is difficult to know where the facts end and where the legend begins. According to the famous story, Prince Felix Yusupov and a group of co-conspirators invited Rasputin to a palace. They wanted him dead. They believed Russia could not survive, while Rasputin still had power, so they prepared a trap according to legend. They served him cakes and wine, supposedly filled with poison. The poison should have killed him, but Rasputin did not die. He kept eating. He kept drinking, and the men watching him began to panic. How could this be possible? Was the poison weak? Had something gone wrong? Or was Rasputin somehow impossible to kill? Then they shot him, but even that did not end the story. According to the legend, Rasputin collapsed, but later moved again. Some accounts claim he tried to get back up. Some say he tried to escape. The conspirators panicked. They beat him brutally, wrapped his body, and threw him into the freezing waters of the Neva River. 2 days later, his body was found, and according to some accounts, there was one final terrifying detail. Some believed Rasputin may have still been alive when he entered the water, still fighting, still breathing, still refusing to die. Whether this part is true is still debated, but that is exactly why the story survived. Because Rasputin's death felt almost as mysterious as his life before his death. Rasputin reportedly gave the Tsar a chilling warning. He said, if he was killed by ordinary people, the Romanov family would continue to rule for centuries. But if he was killed by members of the nobility, then the royal family would be destroyed. It sounded like a curse, a final message from a man who believed he could see the future. Only a few months later, Rasputin was dead, and he had been killed by aristocrats. Then came the revolution. The Bolsheviks rose. The Romanov dynasty collapsed. Tsar Nicholas II lost his throne, and the royal family met a tragic end. To many people, it looked as if Rasputin's final prophecy had come true. A man hated by the nobles, feared by the people, and trusted by the royal family had predicted the fall of them all, and that is why, more than a century later, Grigory Rasputin still feels almost impossible to understand. Was he a healer, a fraud, a holy man, a manipulator, a victim, or a monster created by a dying empire? Maybe he was all of these things, or maybe he was something even stranger. In the end, Rasputin did not just enter Russian history. He became a legend, a dark shadow standing at the edge of the Romanov dynasty. And even today, his name still carries the same question that followed him in life. Was Grigory Rasputin truly powerful, or did Russia destroy itself by believing that